That's how long it took. That's how long it took computer to read Anna Karenina. But of course, they understood what was reading. And again, just to make sure this is true. Right? Okay, well, here it is, right? So that's it. Okay, and then let me also show you, because I think it sounds like this, and we're going to have a bunch of, we have many people to do artistic. Let me show you how simple it is. If you want, for example, to find a particular text, so this one I think simplifying stuff, right? This whole thing does it renders. And then, okay, and here's a code. Okay, so you see this whole code, can actually make this larger, right? Make this larger. Okay, so this whole code, that's all it takes to find, right? It basically says, okay, if, right, so what you do is you basically split the text into lines, right? And then you split the lines into words. And then you simply check if for every word, if this word is Anna. The word is Anna, you basically change the color and draw it, right? That's all. So let's try this. This version puts rectangle over dimensional. Okay, that's basically, that's all it's going to do. Let's see if it's going to work. That's all. Okay, sorry. So let's see. I mean, I haven't used this like, for a year or so.
Is this similar to regular dimensions?
No, yeah, well, it's not even that. It's basically just simply like matching a scheme, right? Okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe this one is not.
Yes. You can
okay,
uncoded all that.
Okay, well, it's I'm probably going to get something else, but it's, okay. Well, sorry, but it's basically, that's all it does, right? Yeah, and of course you can do much more sophisticated things, right? You can basically, for example, let's say, what we can do? We can remember yesterday we were using mini eyes. So we can use mini eyes and, for example, like figure out most important, like top 50 words and then just highlight them, right? For example, maybe actually can, yeah. Obviously we can go if you want, we can do it like in 5 minutes, right? So, anyways, lots of choices. Maybe I should start. Should I start with the next topic? Yeah. Well, the next topic is actually kind of very organically related to this one, because in some ways it was this kind of previous research which led me to think about using software as a cultural criticism tool, because one of many effects of the development of digital media, and of course various social changes around it, both the development of graphics and our media creation software, right, word processors, image editors, paint programs, drafting programs, 3D programs, animation programs, and of course that's like a big part of what my software book kind of traces, is that it makes, on the one hand we can say that it makes processes, right, which before would take hours and days, it makes them, you can do it very fast. And also, of course, it automates, right? It automates lots of creative processes, which means it democratizes, right? Democratizes, in some ways, both creation and also modification of cultural artifacts. So, for example, before, right? Just to give a very simple example, right? It's obvious. So before, if you wanted to manipulate photographs, you had to basically build the whole darkroom. And now you get Photoshop, or you just get, right? You just get iPhoto. And here you can do all the darkroom manipulations plus more. And then, of course, another very important development, right, will be social media networks, which we took off around 2005. And then there is a third development. And there's a third development, which is actually not so much, I think, I haven't really seen it discussed, even though to me it's very important. Let me get my slides here so I can, this we talked about, this we talked about, this. Okay, we talked about this. Yeah, so there are a couple of other things, right? So another thing which of course starts happening in the second part of the narrative is the massive digitization of existing cultural assets. Right? So from Library of Congress to broadcasting companies around the world, right, stuff has been digitized, and everybody maybe knows about Google Books. Some of you maybe know about ArtStore. You guys know about ArtStore? Right, so ArtStore, like last year we had 1 million images. So it's basically a company and various museums around the world sending digital images of their artworks, architecture, also photography, and then we put it online, And pretty much, most of historians, I think, who teach art history in the United States now use it. So we have 100,000 users. But maybe what you don't know is this process of digitization also happening in the sphere of media production. So BBC Motion Gallery has millions of hours of video. In 2 years, China state broadcasting system digitized almost 2 million of broadcast programs, right? What are you going to do with 2 million videos? Well, you have to data mine it, right? That's miles, because you're going to see it. Okay. And then this is our examples, right? So, for example, in some countries like Sweden and Netherlands, there is a law according to which all public broadcasting has to be archived. Okay. So Swedish law actually requires it. Now, in a few countries, there are also laws which have just been passed a couple of years ago, like France, I think, but all French internet sites have to be archived. Well, how to define a French internet site, right? And all these archives are slowly going to come online, and then, well, what are you going to do with them, right? And okay, this is kind of obvious, right? So it's obvious. Okay. I mean, this is, I don't know if it's true, but I think it kind of makes for a nice slide, right? But, and also, this is interesting, right? So no videos uploaded to YouTube and saved today that all 3 US television networks created in 60 years. So now it's not maybe the same quality, but anyway. And this is what I want to say. So I think with this expansion, right? This expansion, both in the number of cultural agents and let's say the number of artifacts they create, or cultural activities they participate, because let's say we're discussing film on the, what's the most popular website for Rotten Tomatoes, right?
Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten
yeah,
Tomatoes.
Yeah, okay, but there are always this, for every TV series, right? There's like hundreds, right? There's like 1,000 websites where people discuss stuff, etc. Right? Started with Star Trek, and actually in the 70s we started, right? With fan culture, right? And now it's like huge. So you can say, well, if we're discussing this, we're kind of participating in cultural discourse. We can say that, of course, maybe this was going on before, but the technology just made it visible, right? So before, people like in some small town were talking about art, and now you can go and actually Google and sort of find out what they're saying to each other, right? So it made all this discourse visible, but I think it's important to realize that this growth in the number of cultural agents and, let's say, the number of cultural artifacts we create and the cultural processes we participate in, it's not only because of digital media. And I think another, maybe most important factor, at least as important, is, of course, process of globalization, right? Because what happens is, of course, and I think it really starts happening, I would say, in the second part of the 90s, is that first of all, you have this Eastern Europe, right, which now joins the global world, and we start creating Kunsthalles, and start having biennales, and creating new design art schools. China, right? In 2004, I go to Shanghai. There's like 4 museums of contemporary art in China. In Shanghai, by 2004, now there's 5, right? And of course, because of globalization processes, the culture becomes very prestigious, right? And every single town now has to have art biennial. I guess you could know it. But what I want to say is that the end result of this process for our discussion is that, let's say, in 95, okay, let's say you have, I don't know, 100,000 kind of high-level professional designers around the world, let's say graphic designers. Well, now you probably have 200,000, because you have people from China, right, and Vietnam, and Poland, etc. And I'm not online, but if you basically go to this website, you'll see it. So this is the example, right? So it's a Carafloat. So Carafloat is one of those websites, which is like a portfolio site, where people can upload their portfolios. So that's actually beautiful. Can you Google this? Okay, and so exactly a year ago, we had 90,000 portfolios. And this is like, we're not talking about like, YouTube users, we're talking about basically professional designers or design students. Okay, how many we have now?
187,000.
Okay, so it's basically 100% growth in 1 year. This is kind of actually, it's unbelievable. I mean, where do those type of, I mean, you're talking about people who basically have to go art school, right? And
They have the
you
design salary graph.
Yeah. That's not just for salaries, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, where do 90,000 designers come from in 1 year?
Art school.
Yeah, but you have to have lots of art schools, right? I mean, how many? I mean, it's like a lot. In fact, this is even kind of more amazing when it's kind of crazy. I mean, how many architecture students do you think graduate every year around the world? We actually have no idea. It would be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I want to say is that because of this kind of process of globalization, on the one hand, you have many more design schools, art schools, film schools, etc. around the world, and because of internet and travel, etc., all these people are participating in the same discourse, right? We all have access to the same ideas, so I can go check Zaha Hadid website and look at the new building and copy it, and so some young student, in Vietnam, right? Okay, so this is beautiful, right? This is May 2007, 90,000, October 11th. Okay, so jump just over this last summer, right? Anyway, and of course, what's interesting, sorry, you can't really see it, but I just kind of grab this page because it changes all the time, and I'm just going to read you, right? So this is basically just designers, on just a snapshot of what was on the first page on a particular day. So it's China, New York, Wyoming, New York, Belgium, Slovakia, South Korea, New York, Italy. So we can say that the developed, so-called developed, right, kind of all developed countries still dominate. But what's interesting, next you have all these kind of newcomers, right, like Slovakia and China, right? Okay, so this has been okay. Okay. So I basically did this little thing with my students, and I'm sorry guys, you can't see anything. So let me actually make this bigger for you. Because it's interactive media, right? So let's not be fetishes, right? Let's remember that this is, basically there's no aura here, right? So we try to make it, I don't know, make it bigger. Well, there's no aura, right? The aura makes us like.
That's trying to
Yeah,
that's really what I'm hearing.
There's no aura. Well, I mean, that's a Benjamin was saying, right? What the Benjamin, but of course,
Down there,
she wasn't. There was no interactive media. There was no Photoshop there, right? Okay, let me see if we can. Just copy this.
Photoshop has aura.
Yes, okay, it's okay. Yes, you're right. Just want to make it bigger. Let's see if we copy this. This is, I think, very fascinating. Sorry, guys. Well, it has aura, especially when it stops like this. Okay, so here's the image. Okay, like, what is this? This is aura. This is aura. Like, yeah, what is this? Like, I don't know how to get rid of it. It's just kind of where does this came from?
The cross?
I guess you get to.
outside the
Yeah, you have to
point
place it.
left.
Yeah, just
Because it's a vector file, that's why.
yeah.
No. You guys don't know Photoshop.
You just click outside it with the.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's zoom in, right? So of course this is long tail, right? And one of the things I had in my previous slide, but I said that's not theory. Let's illustrate, right? So Gaussian curve, right? We can say was a kind of sine, right? Both the sine and the tool of the natural society, like a long tail, right? The power curve. We can say it's a sine of our society, right? In fact, what it means is that with Gaussian, right? That most people are in the middle, then you have some people in both ends. Right? So it was really about average, right? And now we have power curve, which I think is really the curve of global society, where like you have few people or companies or brands which can dominate 80%, and then you have all these other users which are in the long tail. But here's what's interesting, right? If you basically look at, so it is long tail, right? It's basically very quickly the number becomes long. Okay, look at the first 10 countries: United States, old industrialist country, UK, Brazil, Philippines, Italy, Mexico, China, Singapore, Argentina. I mean, it's really amazing, right? Here's the old industrialist countries, and here's the newcomers. So that's obviously did not exist 10 years ago.
It seems to be first by language. and immediately breaking down then to the next.
But then it breaks down, right? I mean, yes, and it's true, like if you look at, for example, America and UK, but then Brazil, I mean, we also have to look at the numbers, but after Brazil, right, it's actually, you know, it's a very slow, it's a very slow, right? Kind of amazing, right? And,
It's strange that China is not there.
well, China is here, this year.
Yeah, but it's not so high. I would imagine like China to be after.
Well, you know what, because the website is in English, and, you know, what I know about China is that, you know, whereas, you know, we have so many students in so many schools, they can have their own discourse, you know, that's why we don't, for example, we don't translate any media textbooks, because, like, the professors will write their own, I have no idea what's in them, you know, so okay, yes, if you go to some art galleries in Shanghai, they all speak English, but not everybody speaks English, right, so I think it's also language. But it also means that you have, you know, enough people in China who do speak English and who found about this website. Anyway, so let me show you one more. Okay, so this is, let's say, like fashion weeks in 2005, so you can see it's already everywhere. Now there's probably more. And this is also something we did with students like in a couple of hours. So this is, I call this growth of global culture space after 1990. So we found a website which was listing different art biennials. And of course it was very kind of, you know, partial data, because we have lots of biennials which don't call us biennials, right? So this is a small portion, but this was official biennials, right? So this is, so as you know, first biennial was in Venice, right? Now this PowerPoint is also Software-Studies website, so you can download everything. Like everything on my website, I mean on Software-Studies, I haven't put PowerPoint from yesterday, because it's still work in progress, but I can put it during lunch or put it tomorrow, right? So always on softwarestudies.com, right? Okay, so basically what happens is that you have first biennial in Venice in 1896, then you have next one in Pittsburgh in 1920. And basically, by 1990, you have 17 different biennials around the world. From 1990 to 2008, it goes from 17 to like 57. And this is, of course, only partial data, right? I mean, look at the curve, right? Okay.
There's also BYOB parties bringing on biennial.
Yeah, which means was it? Yeah. Yes, let's have biennial.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I want to say, you know, so we basically what we're doing is we're kind of, right, and this is why I said, okay, you know, we have to let's, and what we can see is this, right? So the point was this, right? And this is an example of this kind of global language of architecture, right? Chinese architects and Zaha Hadid, etc., right? Okay, so the rest you guys know the story, right? So what I want to say is that, so we can say that one of the very important, right, changes in culture after 1995 is we have these two processes which are parallel each other. Because it's actually in the second part of the 90s when creatives in different disciplines start adopting digital tools. Right? So Photoshop comes out in 1990, Illustrator comes out in 88, Premiere, the first desktop video editing tool, comes out in 92, After Effects in 93, so the software comes out basically between, let's say, 88 and 93. But you know, I remember first trying to use Premiere in 92, it was kind of very sad experience because computers were very slow. But by 97, 98, it became fast enough. And basically, I would say after 95, between 95 and 2000, a significant percentage of not only big companies which were able to afford specialized workstations, if you remember Silicon Graphics workstations, but people start switching to PCs running software, and of course this process continues. I mean, do you guys have a sense by what year, practically all architectural firms switched to using computers? Just for drafting, like, would you say 2000, 2005?
US?
Yeah, let's say this, 2005. Do you think it happens in the 90s?
Much before.
So
In the 90s was already criticism of which tools were being used.
But maybe architecture was already the fast one.
3D Studio in DOS.
Yeah.
Well, I was using it in 1990.
1990. Yeah, but maybe architecture, I think, was because CAD started to develop actually in the 60s. Maybe it was earlier, right?
For visualization purposes, it was already being used then. And Terminator was done with a patch of 2D Studio
Yes.
that was
Right. Yeah.
expanded to the purpose of the film, and that was before.
But for example, if you think about like 3D, right, 3D animation, 3D graphics, yes, the software was already available. Like first software was already available like in '84, but I think it took until about maybe 1980, 2000 before you can start rendering
Yeah.
photorealistic 3D desktop. So
But
what
you're
then?
saying for drafting rather than just
Yeah,
visualization.
yeah.
I don't know around the world. Do you have an idea in the States of when that might have been? I have this idea that in '90 I was already using AutoCAD.
Yes.
But it was, I don't know, 11 and 10 or something.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So,
So
I
I
imagine
think
the
it-
States was much before.
Yeah, so we actually interesting to find out exactly when these processes can happen in different design media fields, right?
Mhm.
And you can probably, I don't know how you find out, maybe you go look at professional journals, see like the, but basically what I want to point out, and this is basically just kind of setting up, this is kind of set up, right, as a background, and after lunch we'll actually talk about the software and creativity, because I know you guys like creativity around here.
First release in 1982 AutoCAD. But
Yeah.
I think it was Ashika was before.
No, I think AutoCAD was actually 81, I think. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is this. So what's interesting is you have these two processes which are completely parallel. In the same time, when the culture industry, right, switches to software tools, you also have this process of cultural globalization, which dramatically increases the number of people participating in a global cultural exchange. And it's actually very interesting to think of this process happen exactly at the same time, right? So this is why, I think one of the reasons why understanding of how use of software on the kind of aesthetics and cultural forms we create is very important, right? Because we can also say there's another two processes, right, which are parallel each other. On one hand, everybody uses the same tools, right? Photoshop, Illustrator, Flash, etc. And even if you use different tools, we all have the same we all rely on the same interface metaphors, we all give you kind of the same, right, the same functions. But at the same time, so we can say that this probably really has an effect of creating some kind of global language, right? In some areas, for example, this is like illustration, right, in architecture. It's not the only global language, but it's just example, right? So, and the second thing is that because of the internet, everybody has access to the same information, right? So how do these two processes interact, and what effect they're having on the new visual and media languages everybody's speaking today, and what is actually the role of software, and how does the switch to software both as a creation tool, as a kind of media access tool, and as a remixing tool, changes in fact what media is. That's what we're going to talk after lunch. Thank you.